From what I have gathered about some of your statements that you've made in the recent past, you seem to be a worried man. What are your foremost worries?
Well, I am concerned that the economic, political and social policies have a lot of problems which need rectification. But much more importantly, I'm worried about a cultivation of an atmosphere of intolerance that is being a part of the policies that are being pursued in the country over the last few years. That, along with systematic undermining of institutions, including universities and other institutions going all the way to the courts, I think these are concerns that would make any Indian citizen, I think, deeply worried.
Since you spoke about intolerance, recently we've had some examples which has created stir in the Indian society vis-a-vis. Do you think that the Indian right-thinking people need to stand more and more beside people like Nasiruddin Shah and Srijato Bandyopadhyay? And do you worry that these voices are getting subdued by the powers that be?
Yes, that's certainly. I think there have been, if you look at individual incidents, you'll find so many of them across the country where intolerance is the most prominent face that the authorities are projecting. Going beyond that, there is a general concern that there's a kind of systematic cultivation of these divisions. Even the attempt to focus so much on the Mandir as opposed to the Babri Mosque. Babri Masjid is itself one of those cases of trying to play up the communal division. It's amazing that you could find room for non-Muslims in the neighboring countries, rooms to get citizenship, while you don't have that for the Muslims, even though Indian rulers must know that there's a huge amount of intolerance and ill treatment going on of Rohingya Muslims in Burma. And they are Muslims, and they are our neighbors, and they certainly deserve the same kind of sympathy as the non-Muslim minorities who get into difficulty in the neighboring countries do. This whole cow movement was, again, to excite people. It seemed to be possible for people to get excited about the maltreatment of cows or eating of cows, and then you get a lot of people come up and try to kill off others. And when they are done by institutions, whether it's the government or whether it's a Hindutva-related organization, I think what we see is an organized attempt at making the country smaller, meaner, nastier, and more divided. And I think this is very upsetting.
Do you think that issues like Goraksha, Shabrimala, Ram Mandir, there is a hype around these issues only because there is an attempt to move away from the real issues that you think are the real issues for the country?
As a social scientist, I have to resist having simple explanation of everything. Certainly, the fact that these distract attention from really serious issues like unemployment and the fact that economic growth in India, though high, has not been translated into better lives for the poor. Yes, and in this context, to be able to concentrate on Goraksha or the Mandir, certainly distract attention. Whether that's the only reason why that's happening, I don't know, because there are a lot of people crazy enough to regard Goraksha to be much more important than Manavaksha, and they would like to pursue that. And similarly, a lot of people are crazy enough to regard a debate about a temple that may or may not have existed and no one has seen, which was replaced by a mosque which certainly has been demolished, and then to put back a mythical story back to circulation and make it the centerpiece of Indian history. So I think, yes, I think there's a bit of attempt to distract people, obfuscate and so on.
Right. There are those who would also call this a ploy to tide past the 2019 general elections, which are barely a few months away from now. Would you also agree with that logic?
Yeah. Again, I would say this helps the sectarian parties, particularly the BJP, and behind it the RSS, certainly. But you know, to take a scientific point of view, that certainly helps them. But from there to jump to the conclusion that's the only reason why this is being done, and not because people are crazy enough to hate rationalist thought, would be an oversimplification. I don't want to do the oversimplification, but I would certainly say, yes, it does help the election. I think the elections are going to be a very important feature of India, because in the 2014 election, BJP got a majority with only 31% of the vote. The vote percentage hasn't gone up, it's likely to have gone down. And so I think if it's well organized, the number of seats that the BJP gets should be far less than what it did in the parliamentary election in 2014. For India as a whole, yes, for the non-communal parties, the non-sectarian parties to unite, in general, there's a strong case for it. But we have to think also of cases like in Bengal, where there may be people fairly satisfied with Mamata Banerjee, yet wanting an alternative and not finding it in the CPM. And so there's a complication there.
On that note, Professor Amartya Sen, thank you so much.
Thank you.